Of the college basketball conference tournaments. Big fan, only because I grew up going to the Big 8 tournament and it was really fun.
I will say that it's kind of fun, like if you're just sitting around at night and you know, you're like, oh, Towson or whoever's playing Charlotte and there's 2 minutes left and it's a 3-point game. You're like, oh, and for all those small ones, like I like watching the smaller schools I've never heard of because like the Big 12 title game, both teams are in. But when you get where it's you're winning, you're in, or you're going home for both teams, that's pretty cool.
It's fun.
And for those teams, I know going to the dance is the end all to be all, but that's their shining moment because chances are you're going to the tournament and you get your ass kicked.
I also like that we get basketball all day. I'm someone that likes to have it on in the background. So I think we started at 8:30 a.m. this morning with St. Joe's or St. John's, one of them. It doesn't matter.
That's about what
There's a bouncing ball.
Jacket, green jacket, who gives a?
You are so right about that. That
gold jacket, green jacket, who gives a?
The day sports.
Yeah. They're phenomenal.
And I get why they don't put them on the day during the day because people are working and stuff. But when it does happen, like the tournament,
or opening day baseball is fantastic.
It's great.
You got the Reds and playing someone
before you hear some World Cup action in there.
Yeah, at 10 o'clock. You're like, oh, it's great.
Just games all over the place. UCLA leads Oregon State 51-44. About 8 minutes left. So the Beavers' season could end here tonight. They only went 13-18. So I'm guessing they're not going to the NIT or even the CBI.
Is the CI? Don't they have a CIT banner or a CTI or a IUD or an STD? They have some sort of banner hanging in Gill, and I know a lot of Beaver fans are upset about it. They think it's kind of a.
Are you serious? They put up a.
They won one of those crappy tournaments,
CBI or something,
and I guess there's a banner hanging up, and I know a couple Beaver fans that aren't thrilled about it. They think it's it's like amateur hour. They're like, really? We hung. It's like when a basketball team hangs a division banner.
It is amateur hour.
Yeah.
What is that?
Well, but
take that thing down.
There's not a lot.
Burn it.
There's not a lot to hang in the rafters.
Well, you don't need to hang.
No.
Like you're just desperate at that point. Don't hang anything.
Yeah,
you're like Kate Middleton.
It was 2000.
You've made it worse.
2009, they won the CBI, and I think they hung the banner.
Oh God,
CBI,
guys! Yeah. I didn't know they hung a banner for that.
Yeah, there's a banner.
If that's the one, that has to be the one.
Yeah, there is a banner hanging up, or at least there was. And I got two friends that are big Beaver fans, who, by the way, have not taken the. They have not taken the demotion well. Like it's hard to even talk to the one. Like he really at first he thought he was doing bits, and he's not. He is just he's very, very angry. But yeah, he's the banner bothers him immensely.
They're saying that the text line is saying that Danny Sprinkle is the top candidate for Washington's job. He's the guy from Utah State.
I'll tell you right now, I couldn't be any happier if Danny Sprinkle is the next coach at UW.
Because then we get Sprinkle versus Tinkle.
Except we won't have Sprinkle versus Tinkle.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
We would have had the Sprinkle and
Damn
Tinkle.
it!
And I'll tell you, I would have loved. That was what was the baseball? What's the baseball drop we have?
From Johnson to Hand, and the batter will be Mastroboni.
It's one of those. Sometimes it just
Wow.
Sometimes it just works. Johnson to Hand to Mastroboni. I'm sorry, but the Sprinkle Tinkle matchup,
Sprinkle versus Tinkle.
God, that would have been amazing.
Do you think they've ever crossed paths in their career?
I hope so.
I hope so too.
Yeah, I'd like
Surely
to
they've
think so.
met.
I hope so.
A couple of West Coast basketball coaches.
Yeah. Oregon State, Utah State, they had
Tinkler versus the Sprinkler.
Yeah, there has to be some sort of overlap, like coaching clinic. And I would like to believe that when your name is Sprinkle or Tinkle, you have a decent sense of humor about that. Like if my last name was Tinkle, and I ran you gotta laugh about it, right? You can't be all pissy.
If you're sensitive about your last name and you're that age, there's a big problem.
Yeah.
You know what's wild?
Which is worse, by the way, to be the Sprinkler or the Tinkler? I think I'd rather be the Tinkler myself.
Isaac Sprinkle.
Isaac Tinkle. I think I'd rather be Jason Tinkle than Jason Sprinkle.
I'm going to go the other way.
I think I would go Sprinkle.
Yeah.
Really?
I
find the Sprinkle to be less manly.
I think so. I think Sprinkle. I think Cupcake, but I think Tinkle. I think urine.
Yeah, that's what I think.
So maybe less manly, but it's like urine or Cupcake.
Well, and I just think the nickname of the Sprinkler, that's pretty rad. I mean, you'd have
got your own dance move.
That's right, named right after you. The thing about the Pac-12 tournament, though, as it's winding down, this is the final one. You know, it's wild to think how little that tournament's actually been played over the years. because like the ACC tournament has been going on since 1954.
Yeah.
You know how many Pac-12 tournaments have been played all time? Or Pac-10 or 12?
Yeah. Well, are we going back to the Pac-8 too? Because it was the 8.
Well, they didn't have a tournament.
The 8 didn't have a tournament. So
it didn't come along till the Pac-10.
Huh. I'm going to go like I don't know. Give me like 1985 maybe?
Well, it's kind of come and gone. So how many years do you think it's been played?
I don't know. Like 35 maybe? I don't know.
25.
20, that's it, huh?
That's it. We've only had this is the 26th and final.
Just before that, we just had
Pac-12
you win the conference and
and then they started it in 1987 and it went from 1987 to 1990, but then it took a hiatus because no one cared or went.
Yeah, well, they still kind of don't, but
exactly. Well, no one cared or went, but they also used the whole thing of on the West Coast, the tournament only hurts us because.
You can get your
we want the automatic bid to be our league champ.
Yeah.
Our regular season champ.
Yeah.
So they went through that whole thing, but no one was going. And then they brought it back in 2002 and they moved it to LA when they built the new arena there. And they were like, oh, this is going to be great. We're going to move it. And then still no one cared or went.
Yeah.
So they moved it to Vegas after 12 years of that and still no one cares or goes. So it's been a rough, the Pac-12 tournament it's sort of a microcosm of how the Pac-12 has gone.
It's just there's a general malaise
it's
about
just
it.
not that big of a deal.
I don't remember. It might have been. I'm trying to remember if it was before COVID or it was after COVID. It's a couple years ago, and my buddy that's a big UW guy, he found himself down in Vegas. And so he was like, oh, I'll go to the Pac-12 tournament. I don't think he went down there for that. It just he happened to be down during the tournament. And I remember him like just sending me photos. And I think that's rough. Like when you're playing in a tournament game and it's supposed to be a big deal for a chance to go to the NCAA tournament and you're playing in an arena that's like 20% full.
Yeah.
That's brutal.
So I went there for it for the first year that it happened in Vegas. And it was, I think there's more buzz about it because it was the first time it was there, but the same, basically you need your good matchups to be later in the day for it to look good on TV, but then you have nothing in the middle of the day.
Yeah,
so it's
I've watched some of the games and they scan the crowd and it's just like you think it's a UCLA football game.
Well, and when you hold it in other places for other conferences like the ACC and Charlotte or whatever, and it's like, oh, well, there's nothing else to do. Yeah. In Vegas, you got a lot of options at 2 PM.
I just don't know how many Cal fans or Arizona fans or
that's just
Washington State fans that are like, I need to go to Vegas to see my team play.
But that's the best chance you have at getting them to go somewhere other than their home court, I think.
Some of it is the tournament has to matter. And out west, it just doesn't. No. Like the old Big 8 tournament, I'm telling you, you'd go to that tournament and we'd go to the first day and there would be, obviously with 8 teams, there's just 4 games first day.
Yeah.
I loved it. 10 a.m., noon, 2, and whatever it is. Every single game was packed with the fans of those 2 teams.
Yeah.
Like the Iowa State fans, you would not believe their traveling contingent. And that's not, so they would play it mostly in Kansas City at that time. That, I guess it's not that far of a drive, but every one of these fan bases, they're driving, in some cases, fairly far, but they would absolutely have their sections, and the K-State section would be all purple, and of course KU would take over because it's right down the road, but then Iowa State would be all red and gold, and it was really, really, really a fun atmosphere, and it mattered to them.
Well, I'll even go as far as this. The PK80 tournament was awesome. Did you go to any of that?
I did.
It was really good. Look, that place was not packed.
I watched Duke play Florida.
What was the crowd like when you were there?
It was good. It was much like every time I've been to college hoops at Moda Center, it's kind of been the same. Not like over the top crazy, but
solid,
good
right?
attendance. Yeah.
Good attendance.
Yes.
Well
attended.
So that preseason tournament, whatever. Again, growing up, remember going to the Great Alaskan Shootout? Packed.
Yeah. Huge deal.
Huge deal. And you're
right.
Good
teams would go up.
Good teams would go up. And I'm telling you, when Louisville or Kansas or Georgetown, I was floored at the number of those contingents that showed up in Anchorage, Alaska over Thanksgiving. And
because it mattered.
It mattered.
That was a big tournament.
Yeah.
That was a big college.
And that was
Kansas would go to that tournament.
There wasn't many.
There wasn't many what?
There wasn't many preseason tournaments.
Yeah. It was one of the major ones.
And now you've got
like the preseason NIT.
And now we've got, you got Maui and they play in the Bahamas and there's, the PK80 and all these things. And I just don't think fans go much anymore. I don't know. It's at least out here. It's just not that much of a thing. And that PK80 tournament was awesome. I mean, those teams you had the heavy hitters. I mean, that's a great lineup. And so I remember going to 2 of those games, and I had the same thing with you. I remember it being good. It wasn't packed, and it wasn't super raucous, but it was cool.
I mean, I've been to a few. I mean, we've all been to those NCAA games here. When you get a good matchup that comes down to the wire,
yep,
it gets pretty wild.
It gets jumping.
I remember the Gonzaga a couple years ago had one.
So that's different again because those all matter. Because
my Purdue Boilermakers.
Yeah.
And Robbie Hummel came to town.
Yep, I remember that. It was weird back brace, and I was there. Western Kentucky was playing someone, and there was an upset, and then we got a Northern Iowa upset, and the place was going bananas. Meaningful basketball in that environment is kick ass. I mean, God, I remember some of the Blazer playoff games.
Blaze is a whole different.
I know, but I just like that's a great building. It's a when it matters and people are jumping. I don't know how much of that gets us all hot and bothered out here.
Well, rest in peace, Pac-12 tournament. You will be missed.
Yeah. By the way, someone bringing up that the sprinkler kind of sounds a little strippery,
I'll take that over
the tinkler.
urine.